I like this kind of cricket captain thing you've got going on.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed it was like a cricket jumper till recently, and it was pointed out to me. But I bought it for the press shot we did where we were all wearing white. It was the only thing I could find. So,
Well, this
yeah,
is it. When I saw that photo, I just presumed that you were sort of going for a cricket team vibe, and that you'd got it right, but everyone else had forgotten.
yeah, which is fair enough. I mean, it did definitely have a cricket team vibe.
Do
But
Scottish
yeah,
do Scottish people play cricket?
no,
I didn't think they did.
no. I mean, there is a team, but whether they do anything, I've no idea. Uh, it's just not, for some reason, it's not a thing here at all in the schools and whatnot. So yeah,
I'm trying to think if there is a. I'm trying to think if there is a Scottish game which involves bats and balls. What's that? What's that?
Shinty,
That's
well,
it, shinty. Yeah,
which
yeah,
is the Irish version is hurley. Um, that's big. Like north of Aberdeen, that's really big.
yeah, yeah. We went to me and my missus went to Loch Ness a few years ago, and there was a shinty game on, and I really wanted to go, but you
Yeah,
know, there you go.
yeah,
So you're, I don't really like referencing press releases when I do interviews because I've just, it's only me and you that's seen it. But I was absolutely cock a hoop that on the second line of your press release, it referenced ufology and old school conspiracy theory, and I was like, I can't wait to speak to Dave today.
yeah.
What's your favourite old school conspiracy theory?
I never said old school. They added that in. I don't know what old school conspiracy theory means. I mean, I know what old school is reference. I don't know, but basically, I sort of grew up being quite into the paranormal and UFOs and stuff, and had a load of books and stuff growing up. Um, Mainly sort of paranormal and ghosts and stuff. And then yeah, it just stuck with me really, and got into ufology and all that. I guess when the internet, when YouTube came about and got big, it was you were just able to go, because it used to be that you would have books, and I used to scour bookshops for like weird occult books and ufology books. But then, yeah, I remember sort of just YouTube becoming, just this, like, you were just able to go down these rabbit holes, looking into all this stuff. And that sort of just spurred my interest more, really.
Yeah, so me and my missus when we're watching like sometimes like on a Friday when we've had a drink, we just piss around on YouTube, and she finds it amusing just how uh, I know I'm sort of fudging technical terms here, but like sort of how the week has shifted the algorithm. So she's sort of like, oh, you see, you've been looking at shrunken heads, have you? You
Yeah,
know, you know what I mean.
yeah,
Um, so the way that I separate conspiracy theories is the way I would separate sort of old school and new conspiracy theories is almost like a dividing line, and the old ones are like the fun ones, and then the new ones are the ones that threaten to undermine democracy.
okay,
So it's like the old one. So it's like um, JFK. It's fine. You can talk about JFK all day long.
yeah,
When it comes to them making the frogs gay, I sort of go, I should
right,
probably
okay,
I might leave this one alone. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Or sort of more sort of Infowars shit. I'm a bit like, I might,
Yeah,
stay away
I
from that sort of stuff.
no, I'm the same. I'm not really into political stuff.
Yeah,
uh I mean, politics is sort of murky enough as it is, and like, politics in its nature is conspiratorial, because it's really politicians' job to go away and conspire, or else, without them conspiring, there would be no, you know, there would be no system, because everybody would know what they were planning and doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
to me, it's just a given, and it's a bit boring. But I really like the more escapist stuff. Um,
So
and
what? So uh have has alien life been here?
I'm still, I'm still agnostic about it all. I mean, I got really, um, I guess, I got back into all that stuff um, through Von Doniken, like rereading Chariots of the Gods,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
and According to the Evidence, the follow up. Um, Maybe later when I was at art school or something, before Ancient Aliens and all that.
Yeah.
It's just a fun idea to me, more than a set in stone. I mean, I guess there is this thing where uh, we have um, a blind spot in history, or we have this kind of like collective amnesia where we don't know where things came from or how we came to be.
Yeah.
And it's that mystery is kind of what drives me to get into half of these things, because one idea leads to another. And but I don't know. I mean, I'm just into theories. I guess that's the thing. I'm just really into theories, and there's a weird sort of snobbery about theories that aren't, like there's so many bizarre theories in mainstream science. Uh, String theory, or like theories about gravity or black holes. They're quite avant-garde, really, some of them, but they're sort of deemed okay. And
Yeah.
then the
Yeah.
crackpot, like fringe theories that nobody will touch because there's not been enough peer-reviewed papers on them, or I forget. I don't care about all that. I just, if an idea catches my attention and my imagination, I'm into it, and I'm almost not bothered whether it's plausible or real or not, because without weird ideas, there'd be no great science fiction. Without Arthur C. Clarke dreaming up weird stuff and the possibilities of those weird things, there would be no 2001, or so.
It's so interesting, I was I bought the reissued Usborne Book of Ghosts recently.
Yeah,
A staple of anyone who got into the supernatural. I think if you were given that book in childhood, and it was so weird flicking through it, and like everything in it, I was like, I don't think I believe in this anymore. But it was so magical to like go back to a place where the world just had so much unexplained wonder to me.
yeah,
And so I think it's quite interesting you saying that thing of it almost doesn't matter. I mean, it's weird. It's almost like that Graham Hancock series that was on Netflix that came in for like quite a lot of criticism from like the archaeology,
right,
sort of industry.
yeah,
And I was kind of like, it's fun though, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
It's so fun.
Yeah, yeah,
People need to just. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's a serious nature behind wanting to discover kind of who we are, where we came from, but yeah, you're right. There's just all the fun about it, uh, and same with the paranormal. It's just I've stopped sort of worrying if I, believe anything, and just getting into things that are interesting, and and the thing is that there is only kind of the truth, and everything falls into the truth or not. It's not as if science and the paranormal can be separated. It's just things are the way they are. We just haven't we just don't know why yet. You know, so
Yeah.
for instance, like things that we really take for granted now seemed paranormal and magical 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And the more that quantum physics unravels and these ideas unravel, the more we understand strangeness and how strange physics can be and reality can be. So things start to sort of join together a bit more, and crackpot ideas suddenly become a bit more plausible, and mainstream science suddenly looks crackpot because of how bizarre quantum physics is and the way that our reality behaves, you know. So
Where are
it's
you
all
at?
quite
Where
interesting.
Where are you at with AI?
Just super into it. Again, always been really into that. And I guess just there was so much, you know, I rewatched Terminator 2 the other day, just because I love all this kind of like talk of Skynet is starting. And
Right. Okay.
this was the beginning when Dyson in Terminator 2, um, you know, the singularity and computers starting to think for themselves. And they talk a lot in Terminator 2 about the beginning of the end, if you like, was when bomber fighter jets were unmanned
Oh,
and
okay.
just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And it's, oh, yeah, we're there. You know, it's
Yeah.
scary because that's reality now. And even back in 1992 or whenever that film was made, they talk about it being 1997, the sort of beginning of the end, if you like. And you know, we're there now, and it's interesting just seeing it unfold and how quick the exponential increase in AI's ability is quite fascinating. You know, and even in the last 3 years, we've got ChatGPT and the art one that does all the drawing for you and stuff. So
Yeah. It's weird.
yeah,
I've got a few friends that like work in AI, and you know they get quite frustrated because they're like they get quite frustrated with people like me sort of freaking out, right? Because I'm a bit like, I don't know. I guess I get quite interested in human psychology, and I wonder what it does. Like I remember when like the pandemic happened, and I remember being like, this illness seems bad. Like people are dying, but I think the thing that frightens me more is what does it do to us as a species, as opposed to like the tragedy of people getting ill, you know.
oh,
And I feel a bit like that with AI, really, where I'm like, my friends that work in AI, they're like, well, it's going to do all of these wonderful things, but I think that what I struggle with a little bit is I used to think just what I do. I used to think, well, it can never replace what I do, and like now I'm not so sure. So like that makes me think, it, almost like kind of that automation. If it enters other industries and people realize that they're not actually that special at all,
mm,
that's what interests me. The idea of, I mean, I've listened to like a fair bit of AI generated music now, and it's
yeah,
it's really good.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Of
how
course.
how does that make you feel though?
I'm just into it. I mean, like, it all depends on. I mean, people sort of probably started speaking like this when synthesizers came out.
That's
And,
exactly the thing I thought.
you know, you could press a button on a Juno synth and it'll play a tune. And,
Yeah,
like,
but is
computers
it?
have been doing things like that for us, creative things for us. It's just now the detail is just so impeccable. You know, you could tell AI to make a Beatles album now and what mics to use and had the size of the room that the amps are in, and whether John Lennon had a cold that week. Or, like,
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah.
the amount of detail is just unbelievable. But look, like you can't put the genie back in the bottle with these things, and so why worry about it or kick against it? And
You do
people
know.
worry about the internet and kicked against it. People are worrying about cryptocurrency and kicking against it. AI, is the genie's out the bottle now. So
I mean, I'm just going to say that when I'm being kicked in the face repeatedly by a cyborg, I am going to remember this conversation.
yeah,
Um, so,
yeah,
so, so I've liked your music for years, and the last record is one of my favorite records in you know well
yeah.
ever really. I just love get like I still listen to that record now, and I still find new things. I just think
Right.
it's. I mean, this is a bit awkward, isn't it? I'm basically telling you that you're great, right? I
Oh,
look,
no. I
I, I
was trying to
look.
think what the last record was. It's my amnesia kicking in, but glowing in the dark one. You mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's there's something almost. I don't know. I mean, I like dance music and I like synthetic music, um, but I just thought there was something really. I just thought there was something really rock about that record, and I really liked that.
Oh, cool.
So I've spent a bit of time with the new record, but I haven't spent anywhere near enough because I don't think your records are records that I just think they take. I just think you've got to live with them.
Mm.
Um, it definitely feels like with the concept of the it being divided into quarters that is especially so. Um, and more than ever, it feels to me a little bit like, I'm casting my mind back here because I don't go to clubs anymore. But when I went to clubs, it makes me feel a little bit like when you went to a really big club and there were different rooms playing different kinds of music, and you can kind of
Yeah.
wander in one and wander out and go in another one. So that's sort of what it made me think of. Tell me why you've decided to, I don't know, almost like get more ambitious on this record than maybe last time round.
I think it was a lot to do with it was sort of being forced through the lockdowns and the COVID restrictions to go away and sort of uh, start again in a way. Because when I first met Vinny and was making music, it was me in my bedroom making beats. I had my sampler set up, a 4-track, whatever. I had very little in the way of any equipment or instruments because I was just in a little tiny room in a shared flat. And for years it was like that, from the 90s right up to 2006 and meeting Vinny. And then during lockdown it went back to that, where I was just like, I was in this tiny little garden shed studio at my house, and I had the same stuff as I did in the 90s again: the turntable, the computer, and like maybe one little Casio synth. Uh, so I automatically just went back to making the music I was making back then, which was dance music, electronic music.
Yeah.
Um, I guess just I was really into jungle and hip hop and house and the stuff I'm still into, but that's what I thought I was going to be doing, was making that type of music, until I started writing songs with Vinny. And
All
that,
right. So almost like a sort of quote unquote solo endeavor.
yeah, almost, because Vinny wasn't there to help or change um, the kind of path that the song was on. So, and then similar for him. So, um, yeah, they just I don't play guitar, so the guitar dropped out. I'm more into tech, like different kind of textures, I guess, that would, I'm more into sampling beats and stuff and drum machines, so they were more pushed forward. And yeah, I think there's a few that we did together up in the Highlands, where we just went up to a house in the Highlands, like Black Cadillac. You can kind of hear that they're more like Django Django. They're more there's guitars in them, there's
Yeah, yeah.
changing parts, and they're a bit more complex. But a lot of this was just made me on my own, and then thinking like, oh, why don't I just reach out to other people to sing or rap on them, or because everybody's
Yeah.
working remotely, and let's just send stuff out and see what happens. So it was kind of just really born out of the situation we were in those lockdown days, really.
I love that song Lunar Vibrations, but I don't know loads about Isabel Woodhouse. Who is she?
She's a friend. There's an artist, pal I know, called Haroon Mirza that used to do stuff with us in the early days. And he'd been working with her, and she was a fan, wanted to do something. And for ages, didn't quite know what we would do together. And then when Vinny sent me his singing on top of that track, I could sort of hear her on it straight away. So I sent it to her. I was just waiting for the right track for her, really. But she's just an artist and musician. A lot of the people on there and that we get in to collaborate with are just friends of friends, or they might have a studio 2 doors down, or in the case of Jack Pignatti, I knew his cousin. These were just like people that were around, and that.
Remind me who his cousin is his cousin was in the Maccabees, right?
No, another cousin. Maybe he's got a lot of
Oh,
talent.
right, okay, okay. It might not be his cousin actually, but they were certainly friends. Like I used to interview Jack Pignatti all the time, like 15 years ago, and I'll be honest with you, I totally forgot about his existence. So it was nice to see him on the record.
Yeah, well, weirdly, I was at a wedding with his cousin who's an artist, and I had this conversation about Jack singing on a sort of housey, garagey beat. And then about 4 years later, got an email saying, you two should meet and remember that conversation at the wedding. So, yeah, just things like that. Just going with the flow and just working with people that are around and not trying to force it too much, really. It's just the kind of mates and who's around collaboration
You know,
rather than like, oh, they're hot right now, or they're famous, or they would do well for press, or we didn't worry about any of that.
yeah, yeah. It's always weird that I'll always remember interviewing Lethal Bizzle once years ago, and who was a lovely guy, but he had Kate Nash on his record at the time, and I'd seen the midweeks and seen that Kate Nash was gonna. I think I heard her album was gonna go to #1, and told him that, and he just stopped the interview and started ringing his record label and telling them that they needed to get the record out into shops ASAP to
Right.
capitalize on Kate's success. Um,
Yeah.
obviously, the Self Esteem hookup it feels fortuitous. She's much loved at the moment.
Yeah. And that was just kind of, I'd been working with her for ages. I put out, co-produced with her first EP, and put that out on my little label I had at the time. And so, we've just been doing stuff for a while. So
Yeah,
she was kind of the forefront of my mind when I made that beat. And she kind of got the brief straight away. And
it feels a little
yeah,
bit like the way that she delivers lyrics would shape the way you would write in a way that maybe a more traditional singer, it wouldn't be the case. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I mean, it was like, yeah, when I made the beat, I knew it needed something quite bombastic and quite, uh, the idea in my head was like Black Box or Bizarre Inc. or these like 90s crossover breakbeat house tracks that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
became they'd suddenly have to play on top of the Pops and pretend they were a band, because
Yeah.
pub record that accidentally blew up, and that was the reference point. All those kind of like 90s dance pop things, which she got, and yeah, she just delivered in a way that other people couldn't on the record, and Vinny couldn't probably do that. It needed something that she can do, and it's really like natural to her to just kind of deliver like that. Yeah.
For someone who is interested in, the many mysteries of the world and the big questions, I feel like you should be more neurotic than you are.
I think I'm neurotic in my own way.
There's,
Or
there's definitely a vibe, though, man. You definitely seem. It definitely seems chill.
yeah, yeah. I'm probably too laid back, but that's kind of just when it comes to all the bigger questions and the bigger theories, I'm just so agnostic. I don't have an agenda or a set way of thinking or living, so I like to just read about things and take things in and try and understand why people think this way, or why and so I guess just it's filled out if you're like, well, I don't know. Like, it's all
No,
possible.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
Yeah.
What do you do with the songs live with the guests?
Oh, I don't know yet. I mean, in the past, Rebecca's played with us a few times. Yeah, I don't know yet, because it'll be impossible really to play some of them, but we might reinterpret them or try and get guests, or I just didn't really want to worry about that. I mean, having grown up being so into electronic music, if Daft Punk worried about how they were going to play Homework live, it wouldn't. You just have to make music and then play it, and it doesn't really matter if it's not the same, or there's elements that aren't live, or we'll figure it out somehow. I mean, the people will probably come along wanting to hear Rebecca's track, and they just have to understand. It'd probably be better if she just played it. If she wanted to play it, she can run that beat and sing on top. But there might be times when we're both at the same festival and we can play it or something. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah,
man, you are the most chill man that I've spoken to in ages.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Listen, Dave, I think that's everything, man. But thanks so much for your time, and I'm looking forward to spending even more time delving into the new record. I think it's great.
Wicked. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, dude. Take care, man.
Right.
See you,
Take
dude.
care,
Bye.
man.
Bye.